Lauren and Erin Andrus are our presenters, and you can type your questions in the question box, and I will keep track of those for after the presentation. Okay?
Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to this evening's faculty development using Pinterest to engage students. As Rachelle mentioned, my name is Lauren Liebler, and my fellow presenter tonight is Erin Andrus. Tonight we are going to look at the basics of Pinterest, how to get the most out of Pinterest as an educator, and how students can benefit from Pinterest. Pinterest was originally just used as a place for cooking and craft enthusiasts to collect their creative ideas and photos on the internet. However, through our research, we have found that Pinterest can be a wonderful tool to use within education and especially within the online classroom. So to start, we are going to briefly cover the basic definitions, how to sign up and how to create boards, and this will allow most of you to get started on Pinterest if you aren't already. As we move on with tonight's training, we will also look at how Pinterest can assist faculty within the classroom, and Erin will also show us how Pinterest can be used mobilely as well as how students can benefit from using Pinterest. So to start, let's just go over some of the basic terms, because I know it can be confusing when you kind of hear these terms being thrown around. So in the broadest sense, we have the word Pinterest. Now Pinterest is a visual tool for collecting and organizing things that you love and things that inspire you. Within Pinterest, you have what are called boards. And this is an online bulletin board that allows you to categorize the images that you like. So we can look here at what are called boards. And this person has several boards, and you can see each one of these squares represents a board or a bulletin board. These can be categorized any way you want, and you can see this person has a board specific to vintage and modern art. She also has one for Art Deco within architecture. So again, this is kind of where you can begin to organize the images that inspire you. It's a very visual tool, which makes it extremely appealing to us as designers as well as to our students. So let's look again at the definitions, and here's the definition, which is pin. And this is the individual image within a Pinterest board. So we just saw how the person had a board for vintage and modern art. When I clicked on that, these are all the pins or images that are on her board, vintage and modern art. So again, it's a fantastic tool that allows you to categorize images and ideas. If you are not yet on Pinterest, it's very easy to join. And you must join in order to use Pinterest in its full capacity. So if you're planning on utilizing Pinterest in the ways that Erin and I are going to show you tonight, then you have to sign up for an account. To sign up, you just go to www.pinterest.com, and this is the home page that you'll see. And you can sign up either with Facebook or sign up with email. And the method you use to sign up is completely up to you. So if you don't have a Facebook account, you can sign up with your email. Or if you prefer everything to be linked, you can sign up with Facebook. So I have clicked on sign up with email just so you can see. It's very straightforward. You would simply fill in your information and then click sign up. So this is, for those of you who aren't started, you want to go ahead and get yourself signed up. And one of the things that I love most about Pinterest is the search engine. Users of Pinterest tend to be very particular about the images and items that they pin on their bulletin boards. And for that reason, it tends to produce much more enriching results than just a Google image search. So bear with me. I'm going to jump over to the Pinterest website for a minute just to show you how to utilize the search engine and create boards. So you can see I am within the Art Institute of Pittsburgh, their Pinterest account. And up in the top left is the search bar. And this is how you can use it just like you would a Google search engine. So for example, we have Art Deco here. You can type in anything you want. So if we just did a search for Art Deco, you would see that there are several things that pop up. Now in this top bar here, you'll see that I'm searching pinners. What that means is I'm searching for the person who is doing the pinning. So every username that has Art Deco in it is here. You can also search boards, and that means these are all the boards on Pinterest that have the name Art Deco. Or you can search pins, which is the most specific of the searches that you can do. And you'll see all of these various pins pop up related to Art Deco. So again, it's a great search engine to use. And if we go back to pinners, you can see, so for example, there's Deco Art Incorporated, there's Art Deco Cakes, and more often, Pinterest is being used by businesses, by educators, as a way to get their products and ideas out there. So if you have a particular brand, a particular organization that you want to look up, 9 times out of 10, you'll find them on Pinterest. If you find something you like, you can start following their boards, meaning every time you log into Pinterest, your home page will be updated with that person's most recent pins. So if I go over to the top right, back to the Art Institute of Pittsburgh, and I click on your boards, you'll see all of the boards that the Art Institute of Pittsburgh has. Now, if I click on the Pinterest Center logo, that takes us to our home screen. And these are not necessarily pins that are on any of the Art Institute's boards, but these are the people we're following. So again, if you find someone that pins a lot of great stuff, you can follow them and their pins will be updated on this home screen. So when you join Pinterest and your name will be here and you go to boards, this will be empty. You have to create a board to get started. And you can categorize your board any way you want. So you would click on Create Board. And again, for example, we could just say Art Deco. The description could be Art Deco Interior Design, something like that. And you could place it in its proper category. So if this were architecture, home decor, and then you can choose whether or not to make the board secret. If the board is not secret, then anyone on the web can look at it. If the board is secret, then only you will be able to look at it. And there are some advanced things that can be done with this setup. Like you can all see this little pin it button here. You can add that pin it button. But for sake of time, I'm just going to show you where you can find that additional information rather than walk you through each step, because Erin and I really have a lot we want to touch on regarding Pinterest within education. So I don't want to take too much time on setup. Once you sign up though, and you'll see your name up here, you can click on it and go down to the Help Center. The Help Center is a fantastic tool. I already have it open here because my internet's going a little slow. And you'll see if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see they have an entire section on Pinterest basics. So you can find information regarding the pin it button, you can find information on account management, and lots of other things. So if you find yourself struggling, I would encourage you to look here in their Help Center You can, of course, always email myself or Erin, but this would be the first spot to check. Right now, I want to move on and talk about using Pinterest within education. So as an educator, one of my favorite ways to use Pinterest is by searching for tips and tricks within the classroom. We all know that you can get stuck in a rut, and Pinterest is one of the best ways to seek out new ideas and fun alternatives to help you break out of that rut. The first blog I want to introduce you to is this Cornerstone for Teachers, and I think we can pass out this PowerPoint when we're finished so you can have all of these links. But this blog really discusses some of the basic ways to use Pinterest as an educator. So I would highly encourage you to check it out. You can see it's Pinterest 101 for Teachers. Another great tip as an educator is to follow Charity Preston. Hang on one second here. I'm going to jump back to Pinterest. Now, remember how I showed you that you can do a search? Well, you can do a search again for Charity Preston, and you'd want to search pinners rather than pins because you're looking for the person. And she's the author of the Organized Classroom blog, and she has a plethora of education-related boards, and it's definitely worth checking out. Most of her boards are geared for K through 8 and the traditional classroom setting, but I have found some really fun things that we can apply, themes for the classroom. So I would encourage you just to browse through her boards and take what you can utilize. You can follow all of her boards, or you can just follow a couple of her boards, but it's really worth checking into. Another blog to check out is Education World, and they discuss why Pinterest can be a useful tool for educators. And they also discuss some of the basics of using Pinterest, how to get started. So again, this is another great link to check out. I have also found 2 great boards for online learning, and they have some great tips and advice that would be worth following. And the first one is e-learning and blended teaching. And again, you can just input this into the search bar, and you can see 10 e-learning commandments, just some fun, quick tidbits of information to help reinvigorate yourself within the classroom. The second one is e-learning, online teaching. And remember, you can do the search. So in your search bar, you would just search for online education or online teaching, and you can find tons of tips and tricks. These are just 2 boards, just the tip of the iceberg, really. And then I would recommend, once you get signed up with Pinterest, that you start a board for yourself and label it Tips and Tricks for the Online Classroom or something like that, so that you can start organizing and following some of the ideas that you have found. Now, Pearson School System blog recommended 4 different ways that educators can use Pinterest. And the link for the Pearson blog is right here. So you can look that up later once we distribute the PowerPoint, but they basically suggest using Pinterest for 1, lesson plans. Now, we don't exactly use lesson plans, but if you have examples for assignments or particular classes that you generally post for students, you can begin pinning those to Pinterest and organizing them per assignment or per class. Which brings me to the second reason, which is organization. You can use Pinterest to organize your samples, your tips and tricks, your best student work. And how you choose to share it is up to you. You can keep it completely private and just use it for your own personal filing system. So if you're having a really tough class, everyone's struggling, you might have a private board with inspirational tips and ways to really get the students engaged. So when you have that tough class, you can go back to that board and look at those tips, the student examples, and try to use it to reinvigorate yourself. Sharing ideas is also one of the most powerful ways to use Pinterest. As I was showing you, you can find tons of other tips and tricks for online education and online teaching. It's almost like a virtual brainstorming session. So you can really find some great resources here. And it tends to be much easier and much more straightforward than a Google search, not to mention more fun. You know, when you're searching for these tips and tricks, it doesn't feel like work. It really feels like you're just a hobby. And lastly, you can use Pinterest for student use. And Erin will be talking much more in depth about this in just a few moments here. But before I pass it over to Erin, I just want to share a few of the ways that you can integrate Pinterest into our classroom. First, you always want to post our presence on Pinterest in the announcements. If your department does not yet have a presence on Pinterest, you will want to get in touch with Jennifer Wright, and she can go over some of the basic rules that AI has, which we're required to follow. But she can help your department get set up for department boards. If you just want to use Pinterest for personal use and personal class tips, etc., then obviously you don't need to go through Jen. As you know, RP and KB is on Pinterest, constantly trying to pin as much information as I can to those boards to keep them current and relevant. So at the start of every class, I encourage you to post the Pinterest announcement so that students are aware we're there. And basically, it just announces our presence on Pinterest. It recommends that they check us out and that they start following our boards. Second, post Pinterest in the assignment tips. For every assignment, I go and post tips in the thread. And I know a lot of you do that as well. And I just give them some basic ideas, things to check, make sure you use MLA format, etc. So since we've been on Pinterest, one of the things I've been doing is in my tips, I will, if there's a research need, I will direct them to check out Pinterest. So for example, in some of the KB courses, they are required to specify appliances or research a sustainable material. And for those assignments, I post a tip in the thread that tells them to check out the KB Pinterest board, and I give them a direct link to it so that they have a visual tool where they can begin some of their research. You can also use it as a fun break or discussion piece. So often students get very bogged down with reading. They're reading assignments, they're reading lectures, and this is a nice visual break for them to go on Pinterest, look at some neat products or materials. It can also get them excited again about their field. So often in my response to a student's assignment, I'll say, hey, great job with your assignment. I also found several similar products on Pinterest that you might want to check out as well. And then post the link. So it encourages them to continue their research, but in a more visual and fun way so that it feels less like work. So if they're doing an assignment in space planning, in your feedback you could say, hey, great job. Did you see the space planning online tool that we have on Pinterest? And then you can give them a link. I think this is one great way to boost your classroom discussion because students can very quickly go check out the image, read a little blurb about it, and respond. It's a lot more visual, it requires a lot less reading. So I think it really becomes something students are interested in doing and something that can start a great back and forth dialogue in a more fun way. Lastly, get involved. Check out the RP and KB boards. See what we have posted. And I'm going to jump back here and show you those boards. The more you know what's on our boards, the more you'll be able to utilize it in the classroom. You'll see we have kitchen and bath trends and ideas, residential planning, and kitchen and bath beautiful design. So for example, If we click on these boards, you can see we have information about specific products. We have all of the trends, ways to upgrade your kitchen, you know, colorful appliances, 2013 kitchen trend, Kohler. I saw that. So the more you know what we have on here, color trends, the more you'll be able to pin those direct links and integrate it into your announcements as well as your classroom feedback. Again, you can find the Art Institute boards just by doing a search. And remember, you want to search under pinners rather than pins or boards to find our username. So now I am going to pass it over to Erin, and she is going to discuss the student use, the student side of Pinterest, and then also the mobile aspects of Pinterest.
Thank you, Lauren, so much. And let me get started here. Okay, can everyone see my board? Hope so. I'm going to talk here a little bit about the benefits of using a student account and how our students can really utilize this feature as an augmentation to the classroom, both for connecting with faculty and other students, as well as really collecting their information. I, like Lauren, really think of this as kind of a visual desk that they have, that they can use to store their data, to store visual resources, and to share, especially if they're doing group projects with each other. So I think some of the benefits in regards to using a student account, and a student would set up their account very similar, actually exactly the same as a faculty member. They can go on there and they can start creating their own boards and pinning. And it's a great way for them to go on to our site within Pinterest and connect with other faculty. And so very similar to Connections, they can get another sense of each faculty member by seeing what that faculty is pinning and who they're following. And so they can start building that sense of community outside of the classroom. So I think that that's a really important aspect of Pinterest. Furthermore, I think Lauren has done a wonderful job talking about this, but it's a great location for our students to find resources, visual resources, and also save resources that they're finding on the web. As we discussed before in the presentation, I personally am always looking for students to have viable resources. And so when they're designing something or they're looking at kitchens or bathrooms, you know, sometimes they're just doing a Google search and I'm really unclear as to the designer who created the image or the design, and I'd like to verify if this is a reputable source. And so by using Pinterest and pinning and storing that information there, I have a great sense of confirming the validity of what the student is looking at. So I think that's another great aspect. This works really well for ID 121, especially when students are really starting the process of understanding, creating a good resource base and a good location for confirming and choosing different types of looks, right? Additionally, you know, that is the same as far as student categorizing different looks. So a great example again is ID 121 or ID 250, where a student is kind of formulating a design, and they can create multiple boards, and they can go in different venues. They can pick a very classic design and kind of figure out everything for that. Do the same with something more modern, and then they can really go back and look at that and see which works best for their space. One of the great benefits of Pinterest, additionally, is that students are able, or anyone is able, to pin their own images. So in particular for ID 121, where we're asking students to take images of their own surroundings and kind of organize the elements and the principles of design, they can take far more images, collect those things, and showcase the best examples. Additionally, if you have a question about something, you can always go back and look at that as a resource and see maybe this image was a better choice. Furthermore, I haven't found another example beyond Pinterest that allows a student to visually see a design board more perfect than this example. And so here, what I wanted to show you here on the next slide is a mock setup for ID 121 and for James's condo, which is one of the scenarios for a student to design. And so this is a great example where a student can pick a whole bunch of things from very reputable sources, and they can go back to that if they find multiple tables or multiple chairs. They can collect that in one easy way. They can show that to you, or they can use all of these examples and showcase them in the classroom. And I think this is a really great visual way for a student to find out what doesn't work and what does work within the space, more so than just fragmented images here and there. So as we move on, I think another additional benefit for having a student account is if a student is working in a group setting. And so there are some courses, where we're asking students to work together in team projects. And I know Lauren spoke a little bit about creating private boards. And so this is a great opportunity for students to create boards together. And they can share their ideas. I know that I've facilitated more than one course where students are working together in a group, but the information kind of comes in very fragmented. And this way it allows students to really work collectively visually. Additionally, for students who are working on different ends of the country, there's not an issue with that. They can just kind of pin everything on one board, and everyone can utilize it as they need. Furthermore, as I said, you can take photos and post them, your own photos. You can do the same with scanning, so you can create a JPEG and scan that in. So this is a great way for a student to kind of create a visual Dropbox, and they can have all of their information from each class and create some type of portfolio. So what I always suggest to a student is as they begin the process and entering the school, they can catalog their information in a visual manner from class to class or from year to year. And then they have a really good sense of where they're at from year to year and towards the end, and visually, right? So they can come back to that place and see what they want to add into their portfolio. And then lastly, I think another really great advantage of the student account is that students are able to connect with designers in their community. And so this is a really great way for a student to build that repertoire with someone who could possibly be an employer. Additionally, this really allows the student to understand how these multimedia features such as Twitter and Pinterest and LinkedIn really can help create that student's professional digital design portfolio so that they're able to walk into the professional world and they already have that kind of design sense online. And so an employer can see what they're doing and kind of get a better sense of where the student is. Additionally, I think one of the most wonderful aspects of Pinterest is there's an app. So a student is easily able to download this app to many different types of smartphones, and they can sign in with their Pinterest account, their Facebook account or Twitter account if they want to merge all of the different accounts together. that really starts to create that digital professional identity that I was talking about that can really help in their future employment. Additionally, I think that the mobile app, and there's a lovely a link that I've included in here, the mobile app is a really great way to broaden that e-learning community, especially since this is a digital degree. I think that the mobile app is extremely straightforward. As Lauren has showed you, the regular account is very straightforward and very visual. The mobile aspect and account is pared down so that you can see it properly on your phone. And you can just look through the same images and you can connect in the exact same manner just on your phone. So really that external board is going with the student everywhere. So I think it really helps in relation to my students for them to think about design everywhere. I hate for them to only think about design during the time they're sitting in front of their computer working on their assignment. It's important for them to see that inspiration is coming from everywhere. And so if they have that opportunity to stamp a picture, or if they are somewhere and they see something, they can pin that, or they can look for that and then pin it. I think it's another great resource. Additionally, you know, for students who are working in that group project, it's a great way for students to share and collect ideas. It's just another way for them to work together as a group and create that camaraderie that you see on ground. Lastly, the mobile app works the same as the traditional site, and it allows you to catalog images, past work, and it's a great research repository. When using the mobile app, again, students can take pictures and they can put them right on their board. So that's a really great aspect as well. And of course, the Pinterest app is free and it's as easy to use as the regular site itself. This is a really great, it's pretty long, it's about 8 to 10 minutes, but I would watch it. Shows you exactly how you set up the mobile account or log into the mobile account and how you can utilize that. There's a couple different features, but it's a pretty great, straightforward way to kind of walk you through the process, and it's something that you can definitely show your students. And that's basically the end of my aspect of the presentation. And I guess if there are questions, we can take those.
Okay, right now we have one question from Michael Greff. He wants to know if you can invite students to post on your faculty boards.
Well, you can't have...
Go ahead, Lauren.
Excuse me, you can't have someone else pin to your boards unless you give them your username and password, which could just kind of open it up for a free-for-all. Who knows what's going to get posted. So, but what you can do is you can find out the student's username so that you can start following their board and vice versa, so you can connect that way. And then what you can do is what's called re-pinning. So if a student checks out your pins and finds something really cool, they can take that same pin and re-pin it to their own board. So you're not necessarily pinning to the person's board, but you're kind of taking what they have and putting it on your own board, if that answers your question.
All right. Would you consider the sources here trade resources? Nina would like to know.
A good portion of them. Some of them I've just repinned, as I was just explaining to Michael, from other boards, but most of them I've gotten from, as I told you, there's so many businesses, manufacturers, organizations who have their own Pinterest boards. So several of the things I've pinned to the kitchen and bath boards have came directly from the NKBA. Sometimes if there's an exceptional piece of student work, I'll pin that, I'll upload it, of course with the student's permission and release form. But again, a lot of this stuff is directly from Kohler. directly from Bosch or some of the other manufacturers. So yeah, I think because Pinterest is becoming such a hot tool that so many people are using for marketing, you can find a lot of trade resources and whatnot to pin.
And just to add to that, Lauren, if you go on like Kohler or a Baker Furniture in particular, you can go down to the bottom of their site, and just how you can tweet an image, you can pin it right directly from their site. So there's a lot of those manufacturers that do exactly have their own boards that you can follow, as well as an easier way for you to pin physically to your board.
Exactly. Anytime you're on a website, just look for that little Pinterest logo, the P, and wherever you find it, it will usually take you to direct link of their Pinterest site. You can add the Pin It button that I briefly mentioned to pin directly from websites. So yeah, I mean, you can really, the sky's the limit for what you can pin.
Okay. Ann Painter wants to know if there is a location for the rules if we want to set up a class board, or is it best to call and discuss? I don't think you have to. I think you just do that sort of on your own if it's for your class, Ann. But Lauren will answer that a little bit better, I think.
So there are some rules that AI has for department boards. For your personal use, you can use it however you see fit. I don't know. I don't want to step on any boundaries here. For a department board, you need to link with the Art Institute of Pittsburgh board. If you're using it as a resource for maybe group projects or something, and it's your personal account or a student's personal account, then no, I am not aware of any rules as far as that goes.
Okay. Julie would like to know, can I embed links to websites into the Pinterest?
I'm not quite sure. Well, so let me show you. Can I share my screen again?
Yeah, of course. Are you the presenter still?
I think, can you guys see my screen right now?
But it says that you're the presenter. Yeah, I can see it now. Okay.
Okay. So I guess let me explain a little bit more about the pins, because I think that will answer the embedding question. So for example, reducing your water usage. If I blow that up, it will, if I click on the pin or the image, it will make the image larger, and I can read the little blurb about it. If I click on it one more time, it takes me to that website. So any article, any manufacturer's website, if you click on the pin, it will take you to the website. So that's, I guess, kind of, I don't know, I hope that answers your embedding question.
Okay. And Nina wants to know if you're going to email the presentation. Yeah, Nina, I will email that out to everybody who was in attendance after Lauren PDFs it, sends it to me. Okay?
Yeah, all of the links are really, really worth checking out. It just kind of gives you some more ideas and more ways to use Pinterest as an educator. And that video that Erin had will show you how to get set up if you want to use it on your cell phone.
Are there any other questions? Okay, I don't think anybody has any further questions.
Right. Well, thank you everyone for attending. Hopefully this will give you some ideas and some ways to start utilizing Pinterest for both your students and for yourself.
Thank you, Lauren.